Hindi cinema was the face of Indian cinema. Like, no one even knew that a language called Telugu existed. Even until RRR became, even Bahubali was a hit, but no one knew because it was dubbed into Hindi and it was watched in Hindi. But, sir.
Yes, God of Indian cinema.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jai Jagannath.
It doesn't matter if this film doesn't win an Oscar. I don't care.
But you want it to
What do you want it, man?
It's
You
not
want
a
it?
people's choice. A people's choice, maybe. Critics' choice, sure.
But, sir, I'm a Telugu guy and I'm proud. Thank you, sir.
He is a smart guy. He is a smart guy. He didn't his friend said he didn't technically ask the question. That is true. But he was nice and he was tall and I liked all of it. Alright, so, yes. Yes.
One way I keep hearing you describe is as India's James Cameron. But I would like to put forth that James Cameron is now just called America's Rajamouli.
I feel very embarrassed when the comparison is made. James Cameron is like a god of cinema. I adore him so much. I'm Rajamouli of India. That's it.
Raja of India.
No, I love that, but I think it is unfair to compare you and say, oh, you're the Indian this, or it's like you are just a great filmmaker that has made a movie, multiple movies that have captured the minds of so many people, and I'm excited to see what you do next. Do you feel like after this, it's more scary to go forward, like what's the next idea? Or do you feel liberated, like, all right, well, how do I top myself? And where do you want to go next? You don't have to tell us what you're working on, but do you want to go smaller? Do you want to go bigger? Do you want to stay historical? Do you want to, what's kind of exciting to you right now?
A small bit, it doesn't really matter to me. It is something that is a very, very, that excites me what I can go forward. My first biggest blockbuster in Telugu is Simhadri. Right after that, everyone expected me to make a film with a big star, but I chose a game, rugby, which no one knew in India, and made a film on it. Then I got one of my biggest, the biggest blockbuster at that time, Magadhira with the and after that I went and made a small movie with a comedian called Maria Ramana. So it doesn't matter big or small, it is just if that story is interesting, I would definitely take up. But my next happens to be my biggest film yet. It's an action movie. So someone asked me in New York what my next film is. I casually said it's with Mahesh. It's a globe-trotting adventure, and suddenly the word globe-trotting started trending in India. So that's how crazy we Indians are.
That is amazing. Now I will say that I've gotten a couple texts from people that have met you on this trip, and they've been so excited to meet you. Do you get starstruck by the people that you've met? Because I do think, like knowing that you were coming, knowing that you were here, all the people travel from around the country to be here tonight. Some, or you can lie about it too. Yeah, right. Yeah. Have you been starstruck so far in your travels or in kind of meeting people who have become fans of this? Or
no, I haven't been starstruck yet. I am trying to, because I'm concentrating so hard in trying to understand people, or sometimes even trying to understand what they were saying. Like the lady, I had so difficult understanding. I'm concentrating so much. So
I think need for that.
I need to understand, but I am definitely completely dumbfounded by the technologies that are being developed right now. Very, very exciting, very, very scary, but that's the most exciting experience for me when I came here on this trip, learning about the new technologies.
I love that. And I was just like, I'm sure that probably one of that technologies is like, what is it called? The volume. If you talk about volume, like, would you ever want to shoot on a stage where it is all computer background, or do you like being in, you know, in a real location, or like, have you seen those volumes like where they shoot like the?
Yes, virtual production. You're talking about virtual production. Yes, yeah. I mean, I know of the technology before I went and saw a virtual production stage. And one more thing is, like, Indians are quite fast in adapting to the technologies. As big stages are being built here, on the smaller stages, on a lesser quality, we have already started shooting there. On virtual production stages. So they adapt quite quickly. So I understand the technology. Whether I would use it or not completely depends on whether my sequence needs the help of the technology or
Got
not.
it. Okay. Here's a question right here. Right. Yes. All right. Yeah, hold on. You said okay, thanks, and you grabbed it. Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Sean. Thank you so much for coming. This has been like just truly a tremendous night. My question was, I've seen a bunch of your films, and one of my favorite aspects is obviously your action. It's so inventive, it's so creative. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about how you come up with and craft your action scenes.
In a way, that's, I think I answered the question in a way. How I think is that, I don't know how I think, but that is the way I think. I need big moments, really big moments, which really stretch the viewer's imagination. But at the same time, if you see those sequences just for the sequences, you wouldn't find them so enthralling. It is because the emotion that drives that sequence. I believe, I mean, we know that human beings are capable of doing impossible things when they are emotionally charged. So I take that liberty in creating almost an impossible situation, and then trying to create a drama, trying to create an emotion that substantiates it. So that's how I work. The visuals that come into my mind are primarily because of the kind of books that I have read as a child. From my childhood, I have been fed up on, I really fed up on comics, storybooks, stories of mythology, history, folklore, everything that I could lay my hands on, I kept on reading. I think that fired my imagination. That fires my imagination.
A lot of people have asked you about action, but no one has asked you about dancing. And this movie has one of the most amazing dance sequences here. Now, we are like, how do you shoot this action? What do you do? Oh, how do you approach? Obviously, this end number with the credits, amazing dancing, but we gotta talk about suspenders. The suspender dance scene, the dance off, is that something that you envision in your mind, or are you working with a choreographer who goes, how do you get that on the page, or yeah, how do you approach a dance sequence?
The first thing is, like when I have Ramcharan and NTR on board, both of them are fantastic dancers, and the obvious expectation from the audience is that they dance together. That's an obvious thing. But I need to create a situation where they are not just dancing, but a kind of story is flowing. So that's the situation that's been created. He is being humiliated by an Englishman, and the friend comes to the rescue, and both of them dance, which is actually a fight, which is actually a competition, and they win it. So that's the next step, creating a story within that song. And the main thing is I have a fantastic choreographer called Prem Rakshi, who has been working with me for quite some time. He has created some of an amazing dance sequences on Indian screen. Luckily for me, he comes in completely dedicated when he works for my film. He stops working for all other films, and he comes and stays with me. For the Natu Natu step, we have seen, I think, 3 or 4 variations in the song for the hook line. he has created more than 100 signature steps for that line alone. 100, and it's like they were going on and on and on, and they were so difficult. The dancers were getting pain in their knees, and he had to change with his assistants to create those steps. I think he created so many steps, and he designed the whole song for almost a month before the actors actually came into practice.
That's amazing.
He's a fantastic guy, and interestingly, he also choreographed some of the action sequences for me.
Oh, wow.
He's a dance choreographer, and the one on the shoulders, some bits in that he composed.
That is amazing.
When you told me that you are not a good singer, and you told me that you've
Horrible
never
singer.
and that you've never done karaoke before, but I am curious. Are you a good dancer?
Here it is. Go get it.
Not at all.
What?
I can make you dance. I'm so
Or
sorry.
sing. It would have been the most clear.
I feel like I've never seen anybody that afraid of me in my life.
I think a lot of times, we look to people that we admire, especially, somebody who's a writer and a director, to give advice. Like what, and like, I think a lot of people are trying to make their films, trying to write their films, trying to direct their films. Is there anything that you've learned to be true about making film? Like a little piece of advice or nuggets of wisdom you can share with us, just about how to approach work or how to, get through an impossible shoot day, anything like that, anything that comes to mind that, that you kind of live by, a little maxim or motto?
Advice, are there any film students here? I give advice only to film students. I don't give advice to anyone else.
Just accountants over here, film students over there.
Yeah, the advice is just jump in. You either sing or swim. That's it. In general, I don't like to give any social messages in my film. I don't try to educate people on any subject. I feel that the audiences are paying their hard-earned money and they're giving their time so that they get entertained. Right. So my duty is to entertain them. History lessons or social awareness classes are supposed to happen in the classrooms or moral science classes or somewhere. My job is to entertain them, and I take entertaining my audiences very, very seriously.
Well, it shows. Ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.